Hey, ladies. Hey. Welcome back to Rooted in Your Confidence. I am Samantha K. Harris, the Brag Bag Strategist. And today we're talking about something necessary and uncomfortable for some. We're talking about safety. And I don't mean the orange cones in the road, not to sign this form and get to work safety, the kind of safety that determines whether you go home at the end of the shift. And let me be clear, we're not doing fear mongering, we're not doing sensationalizing headlines, we're not doing true crime podcast energy. We're talking about real life, what actually happens to women in the trades, and how to protect yourself without disappearing. Some of you already heard about Amber Chet's 20 years old. Yes, 20 years old, a welder, doing her thing, and she was proud of it. She went to work one morning and did not make it home. A coworker killed her at work. I'm not bringing her up to traumatize you. I'm bringing her up because people love to pretend this doesn't happen. Like women being emotional, like we're exaggerating, like we're overthinking. No, the danger is real. Amber is not the first woman who's lost her life on a job. And if nothing changes, she won't be the last. It's not always about murder. It's not, just to let you know. It's not always the extreme cases. Sometimes danger shows up in small ways, in shortcuts, culture, silence. Just do this anyway. And I want to bring it up a moment in my own career that still sits with me to this day. And I know that I've talked about it before, but lately it has resurfaced and it really let me know that it's so important for us as women working in trades to talk about the events that happen where that fear creeps up, where that fear stifles us, where that fear alienates us. The moment when my colleagues, my coworkers, at one point my brothers in paving were angry with me, not because I dropped something on someone's hand, not because I made a cut wrong, but because I spoke up. I spoke up about the person in charge. The person in charge was friends with several of the mechanics, and he decided that because he was friends with them, even though we have a bargaining agreement with the company that's set up to protect us and our positions on the job and dictate what jobs you're supposed to go on. And it went by equalization list. And that means you generated more money depending on where you were on the overtime list. But because he had friends and they all laughed together and they all drank together and children knew each other, he wanted to make sure that they were covered, didn't care about the people that he didn't associate himself with. He would wait until everyone left the building and they would all be hanging out. No biggie. Didn't think anything of it until it came out one day. And he didn't even have the decency or the respect to change the overtime equalization list. The numbers, he would leave the numbers the same. No one was the wiser. And I can't remember right now, but if I give it some thought, I probably could. He was giving them the overtime. And when it was found out, I spoke up. I spoke to him. He ignored me. My other colleagues that I work shoulder to shoulder with, jackhammer, they decided that's just they gonna do what they want to do. And I was like, nah, it's not right. It's not right. And in that, it's not right. I then went to the chief at that time. This has been, my goodness, over 15 years. I went to the chief and I said, hey, this is what's going on. It's unfair. And the chief at that time said to me, Samantha, you're a troublemaker. You're a problem. It's funny how I became the problem. I then said, okay, no problem. I took it a step further. I took it to HR. And HR contacted the chief at that time, and he was even angrier. I'm not sure what was discussed behind my back, but one night after we had excavated a hole and I was down in the bottom sweeping it out, I don't know if any of you have done paving or you have to clean out what you've excavated, the little things, just to make sure it adheres to the new asphalt adheres to the old. I'm not even gonna lie, I really did like that work. I love pouring concrete more than asphalt, to be honest. But anyway, let's move forward. I was down in the hole and cleaning it out, sweeping it. Why me? Because that's what I do. It was my job. I wasn't asking for a free ride. So, yes, I was down there doing my job, and the excavation had to be 8 to 10 feet deep. So, I was down there sweeping it because I had to take a ladder and climb down. And they thought it was funny to sweep dirt on top of me. At that moment, I became afraid for my safety because they weren't speaking to me. They were ignoring me. They were giving me heavier equipment to lift because they were very upset because I said something about what was being done unfairly, and I wanted them to follow the rules. With this being said, I did not feel safe. If we weren't having, to be honest, I probably would not have felt that way if they weren't mad and not speaking, ignoring me, giving me extra, and laughing and having secret conversations. And plus, when you're on the outside, you don't know what's going on. But I've been on the inside of the groups, so I know what they were capable of. So I no longer felt safe in that group. Did I go to HR? Yes. And because I wasn't doing anything outside of my specs of my job, HR said it was okay. So is HR really for you? So working in an environment when you're working on job sites is different from when you're working in an office. No disrespect, not saying that women in offices do not have traumatic situations or situations that happen to them that are unfair. But when we work in the field, it's different because there's no one there to police them. But yes, there with that moment. And because I felt that unsafe, I decided for my own mental health, my own physical safety, to leave that group. Even though I loved the work. I told you I loved it. I loved doing concrete work. I love mixing, pouring, finish work. I love the finish work, to be very honest, when I really think back on it. But I no longer felt safe to work in that group. So I transferred to another facility. And before my feet could step inside the door, they had already called and warned and said I was a troublemaker. How do I know this? Because the biggest bully said it to me. I heard about you. They called about you. And he harassed me for months, but I did not leave. But I did get quiet. I became a shell of who I was, speaking up, standing up, showing up. So I understand the fear that happens working in these jobs that were not made for us. And it took something from me. It took a lot out of me. It took a lot to get me back to who I was, and it didn't happen overnight. It took therapy. It took getting to know who I am outside of the job, outside of what other people's thoughts were, outside of what society thinks a woman should do. I didn't think I was going to be buried alive or anything like that, but it was uncomfortable enough. And anything, what if they did? Anything could have happened to me. So ladies, I get you. I see you. And it's troubling to me that we have to be scared at work. Women aren't, and I want to say this so everyone can hear, women aren't afraid of the job. We aren't afraid of the consequences of speaking. We're afraid of the consequences of speaking up, being labeled difficult, getting talked about, getting skipped over for training, losing hours, being ostracized. Let's call it what it is. Sometimes the danger is the environment, not the task. What's unsafe actually looks like. Let's talk about what unsafe actually looks like on sites. If you rush through a job without proper PPE or instruction, that's not safe. If you're told just make it work without the equipment, that's not safe either. If your concerns get jokes, side eyes, or silence, that's not safe. If you're learning by watching instead of being trained, that's not safe. If your body is telling you something isn't right, that's not safe. You're not overreacting. Your instinct is your data. This is where my truth method comes in, not as motivation, as survival. Tell yourself the truth. Remember your power, understand your environment, trust your voice, and then hit the stop button, throw the stop sign up when something is not safe. You don't push through, you just do it. You don't hope for the best, you stop the work. This isn't safe. We need to stop. This harness doesn't fit. I'm not going up like this. We're not moving forward until this is secured. You are not refusing to work. You are refusing to die. And if someone gets an attitude, that's their ego. You'll get over it. They'll get over it. Your life matters more than their pride. Women leave trades not because they can't do the job, but because they're tired of being unsafe. Many women love the work, love the skill, love the money, love what they build. They just don't want to be unsafe. You shouldn't have to quit to stay alive. You shouldn't have to shrink to stay employed. You shouldn't have to silence yourself to be respected. Safety and visibility go hand in hand. Track your safety leadership the same way you track accomplishments. For example, I stopped a situation that could have gone bad. I asked for the proper PPE. I spoke up. I waited for clarity before continuing. I trusted myself. These are not dramatic moments. They're leadership receipts. So hear me and hear me clearly. You deserve to be trained. You deserve equipment that fits. You deserve to speak up without losing your job. You deserve to walk onto a site confident and walk off alive. This isn't fear. This is power. Remember, this is a movement, and it's not just about using your voice. It's about keeping it, trusting it, even when someone tries to take it away from you. We don't shrink over here. We speak from our roots. I'll see you next time.